These are the easiest, most basic VBA techniques that are not available when recording a macro. Welcome to KISS Excel VBA, where we hope to inspire you to create your own Excel-based applications. We saw in the previous video that recording a macro to get the syntax just right allows you to work in Excel like never before, pushing buttons to perform actions or procedures. But it will only take you to a certain point. This is only the tip of the iceberg with VBA. Today we will break the barrier and we will put the cursor into VBA and we will type code. Code so simple it will make you cry if you have not been using these. We will not go in depth, but we will skim through the easiest forms of message boxes, variables, if statements, for loops, input boxes, and the use of ampersand, the and symbol, in VBA and Excel. Let's do it. Okay, first we begin with message boxes here on my book 1, and I enter a module to hold our code, and I'll write a subline. The end sub is entered automatically, and then MSG box, hello, and we can play it from the VBA by using this button or F5 on your keyboard, and the message box appears with the word hello. Now we may want to have the message box connected with our Excel sheet. So on A5 I put hello, and I want to display that hello on the message box. And then I copy paste the same macro, but instead of hello I type range a1 dot value. And when we hit play, it will display a warning because we have two macros with the same name, and all we need to do is just change one of the two names, and we can put the cursor between the sub and end subline, and the message box will be displayed, but of course the value is not on A1, it's on A5. So if we correct that, then we have message box with hello. Next, we'll show variables. We can store the value of A5 into a word, and that will be our variable. And so we can say A equals range A5 dot value message box A, and that gives you again the value of A5. This is very useful when you want the value of the variable to change within the same procedure. And so here on the first line, range A5 value is assigned to the A variable and then gets displayed on the message box, and then the next line the variable gets assigned the value 5 and then displays that on a second message box. Next we have the if, very simple, and we write if it's equal to hello, then what do we want? We want a message box to appear saying true, and if it's not, then message box false. This way you can make your code dependent on some value, which is very useful. Be sure to have the right indentation for your code so that you can read it easily afterwards. We want the code to be as neat as possible. Let's test this now. And true, because on A5 it writes hello. What we can also do is have a number and say A5 or A6 greater than, say, 50. Let's run that, and it's false. You can also have a nested if, just like we do in Excel, and remember to keep the code with the correct indentation. Next we have the for loops, and we can say for I equals 3 to 5, message box, display that I, next I. Okay, let's run that, see what it gives us. 3, 4, 5. So it loops through the numbers that we specify and it displays that I. Next we have the input boxes, and these work like this. We set a variable equal to input box. What are we prompting the user? What are we asking? Enter your name. What is the title of the window that the input box will have? Username dialog. And if we want to have a default value. Let's test that. And we have username dialog, enter your name, John Smith. The use of ampersand is used to join strings together. It is like the concatenate formula. So if we have John Smith, we can use the concatenate formula to join those strings together. John Smith. Then the ampersand will have the exact same effect. A1 ampersand A2. To have the same effect in VBA, we will write a sub test3 message box range A1 value and range A2 value, and we're having the exact same effect. We can use this symbol in the previous techniques we learned. For example, in our for loop, instead of just the counter I, which I will make into a comment, we now need to display the contents of the cells. So message box range A6 value. But this will display only the value of A6. I need to display the contents of A3, then A4, then A5, because the I is from 3 to 5. So I need to replace that 6 with quotes, ampersand, I, ampersand, quotes. So effectively I have replaced the 6 with this string of text. And if I run this now, it will give me the contents of A3, then A4, then A5, from 3 to 5. Let's change from 1 to 4 and run again. So it should give me this and this and this. John Smith, John Smith, John Smith. Perfect. These techniques can and should be used with one another to gain the most out of the code. These are the most basic commonly used macros that the record system cannot capture. This may be a little bit hard to digest if you don't have a lot of experience with these techniques, but they are the first essential blocks of knowledge you need after having experimented with the record macro system. So what did we learn here today? We saw how to extend your knowledge with message boxes, variables, if statements, for loops, input boxes, and you can use the and sign to join strings of text. Follow me on the next video where we examine how to launch our macros in any workbook with an Excel add-in. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you feel I've earned it, and remember to always keep it super simple.